Dr. Jonette here on Grow with Dr. Jonette. I'm delighted to have you join me for today's recipe because it is delicious, nutritious, and super simple. This recipe only has 4 ingredients, and today we are going to be making sun butter, also known as sunflower seed butter. So let's get cooking. To start, we're going to roast a cup of sunflower seeds. You could, if you want more, you could roast more, but I'm roasting just a cup today because sometimes you only want a small amount of something, and I'm going to show you a couple of simple and smart tips to help you be able to use a smaller amount of your nuts or seeds. Let's put this in the oven. I've preheated the oven to 400 degrees. So while that's roasting, now that that's in the oven, let's talk about our simplest smart tip. Our simplest smart tip today is a couple of simplest smart tips. One is that when you are making a seed butter, purchase the nuts or seeds in bulk as raw. It's less expensive, and you can roast them yourself. Whenever you roast something fresh just before you use it in a recipe, it's always more delicious, flavorful, and you get that release of all of those essential oils from the nuts or the seeds. And my second simplest smart tip, actually there's going to be 3 simplest smart tips today. My second simplest smart tip is that maybe you're like me, have a difficult time digesting nuts and seeds. Maybe you have diverticulitis, or for whatever reason you have a hard time digesting nuts and seeds. This is a great way to incorporate nuts and seeds in your diet and not give your digestive system a hard time. The third simplest smart tip is that you want a powerful either food processor, which is what we've got here. I particularly like the Breville food processor because it has the feature of a smaller inside bowl and a smaller food chopping blade, so that if you only have like a cup of something that you want to chop up or dice or blend or puree, like our sunflower seeds, you can put them in the smaller bowl and use it with your food processor. But there are other blenders as well that are powerful enough that you can grind up and puree your roasted sunflower seeds. I like this one for 2 reasons. It has a smaller blender jar. It also has a large blender jar, but it has a smaller blender jar, and this helps you scrape the sides of your jar as you're blending, which helps create that vortex where you get your non-blended stuff moving through the blended stuff so that everything gets nicely blended in a nice even consistency. So we have our 4 ingredients here for our sun butter. We have our nicely roasted sunflower seeds, and I only roasted them about 5 minutes. One of the ways you can tell when they're ready is when you begin to smell that delicious smell of roasted sunflower seeds. Once you start getting that delicious smell, check your sunflower seeds because they're probably ready to come out of the oven. Maybe my oven was a little bit hotter, I'm not sure, but they really only took about 5 minutes. Sometimes they take a little bit longer. So we have sunflower seeds, we have a sweetener. Today I'm using maple syrup, a little bit of salt, and sometimes I need a little extra sunflower oil. Sometimes I don't, depending upon how much oil the seeds have. So we'll see whether or not we need the oil or not. If not, it's a 3-ingredient recipe. You can see the difference between, I've got a handful here of the roasted sunflower seeds versus the roasted sunflower seeds. And you can see the difference there, how these are nice and brown and toasty looking, and these are still fairly pale and raw looking. Put these over here, and let's go ahead and make our sun butter. You could actually make sunflower butter with just roasted sunflower seeds. You don't have to add the salt and the sweetener. For sweeteners, you could add monk fruit sweetener, which is a plant-based sweetener. You could add maple syrup, or you could add honey as well. I've used all of them. They're all delicious in your Sunbutter. So I've gone ahead and added the roasted seeds to our blender jar here. And we're gonna go ahead and start blending our roasted seeds. Put the lid on it, and it doesn't take long to blend it. You can see here, I only blended a few seconds, and we've got it the consistency of like a coarse meal. So we'll keep blending it a little bit longer. If you're using a food processor, it usually takes quite a bit longer than if you're using a blender with a blender jar. Another few seconds, and you can see it's now starting to come together. It is the consistency of, I say peanut butter cookie dough, but it's the consistency of dough. And we're gonna keep blending it a little bit longer. Actually, at this point, you can go ahead and add your sweetener. This is our maple syrup, and your salt. And we'll see if we need any extra sunflower oil. I like to use sunflower oil for sunflower seed butter, Sunbutter. See where we're at. And it's still fairly thick, so let's go ahead and add. I start with about a teaspoon of oil. That's looking better. I want to scrape down the edges here a little bit. And we're going to add about another teaspoon. Quite often I add close to a tablespoon of oil. That is looking pretty good. What you want is a spreadable consistency and maybe a tiny bit more oil here. You could stop at this point. I like my Sunbutter nice and spreadable, so I'm going to add just a tiny bit more oil to it. About another teaspoon there. All total, we've added about a tablespoon of oil to 1 cup of toasted sunflower seeds. And that looks pretty much perfect to me. Put that over there. A nice spreadable consistency there. And let's go ahead and put it in a container. I have a piece here of my homemade artisan peasant bread. We're going to put some of our Sunbutter on it. I almost said peanut butter because to me it looks a lot like peanut butter. And also, if you have someone in your family or in your household that is allergic to peanuts, Sunbutter is a great alternative to peanut butter. In my opinion, it's probably one of the butters that's closest to peanut butter, and because it's not a nut, there shouldn't be a problem with allergies. So we're going to spread a little Sunbutter on our bread here. I went ahead and put the Sunbutter in one of my jelly jars. I make a lot of homemade jelly, and I use the jelly jars for a lot of things other than my homemade jelly. So this is a jelly jar of our Sunbutter that we just made. Let's talk about our Neuronutrition Nugget. What is in sunflower seeds that make them so good for our brain? The thing I like about sunflower seeds is that they're good for your stress. they actually help reduce stress within your body. They have magnesium. When we are stressed, our muscles get tight, our chest feels tight, and our muscles get tight. We tend to clench our hands or clench our jaw. And magnesium helps the muscles relax. Sunbutter is loaded with magnesium, so it is a great way to help relax those muscles when you're feeling stressed. Have a nice piece of whole grain bread with some Sunbutter on it. In addition to magnesium, Sunbutter also, it has a lot of other things. It has a lot of B vitamins, vitamin E, selenium, zinc, but the other thing I want to talk about is tryptophan. Tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin. So tryptophan is important also for helping reduce stress. One of the fastest and best ways to reduce stress in our body is to make sure we have adequate serotonin levels. And Sunbutter is one of those things that adds into our diet one of the essential components so that our body can make serotonin. In fact, most of us think that our serotonin, if we're depressed or stressed, that our serotonin levels are low serotonin levels are due to an imbalance in our brain. It's actually not our brain in our head, but our brain in our gut that makes our serotonin. 90% of the serotonin that our body makes is actually made by our gut. So add Sunbutter to your diet to help reduce stress, help reduce cortisol levels, and give your body what it needs as a precursor, tryptophan, to help produce serotonin. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click that like button as well as subscribe. In addition, sign up for notifications so that you don't miss any of my new recipes, as well as my simplest smart tips and my Neuronutrition Nuggets. If you go to my website, growwithdrjonette.com, there is a couple of downloadables there. One of them is my top 10 brain foods, and my other one is 5 foods that you can incorporate into your diet right away to help you reduce the stress and anxiety in your life. We all have a lot of stress, and anything we can do to help reduce it is great.